iPlant is a project sponsored by the National Science Foundation to build a computer infrastructure for research in the plant sciences. The project will support a new breed of scientists who can use large-scale computer resources to solve grand challenges in modern plant research. Clearly, this project involves computers and plants. But really, what is a computer or cyber infrastructure? And why do we need one specifically for biologists? Why are plants important? And what are the grand challenges in plant research?
Right now, there's just too much information for one person, even if you spent a whole lifetime just focusing on a few plants and trying to gain the information out of it. There's so much information on gene level, protein level, metabolite level, phenotype level, and that trying to integrate all this just for one particular pathway is becoming actually too daunting. And so having computers be able to try and pull that together for us and help us focus on then the exciting part, but not going through and pulling everything together ourselves, I think that'll be a useful tool.
In the last 10 or 15 years, we've been really intent on bringing students in biology to be really competent in the areas of molecular biology and then genomics. And now the next interface has to be, they need to be competent in this area of informatics, both from the standpoint of big databases, but also from the standpoint of simulations. It doesn't mean every plant biologist has to be able to develop the algorithms to develop a new model, but they need to be conversant so that they can talk to the computer scientists.
And I think most people understand infrastructure, things like the power grid, like the interstate highway system, like the railroad system. This is basic capacity, basic services, basic facilities that enable many more specialized things. And cyber infrastructure is an attempt to talk about infrastructure that is based on computer and communication technology. A growing number of people are thinking that the economic competitiveness in a knowledge-based global society will not simply be one on who has the fastest computer, but rather who has this platform of integrated cyber infrastructure that brings together people, computation, data, instruments, and allows them to most rapidly respond to the changing dynamics of discovery and innovation.
Plant biology is at a unique moment in its history because we have a pressing need for fuel, biofuels, and nutritional aspects of plants. And then we also have the tools of genomics and systems biology to try to put all this data together to develop predictive models for how we can change plants to ameliorate food and biofuel issues.
Many of the research questions that we need to address are of a global nature. So things like food production, shelter, and understanding the basic mechanisms of how plants grow and mature, how they're going to be affected by climate change as it occurs. We need to understand what stressors are, how they're going to respond. And those issues are really global issues.
Over a year-long period, members of the plant research and computer science communities met to identify two grand challenges on which to initially focus iPlant's efforts.
The first grand challenge is to understand the relationships between plants, as many as 500,000 species, and how they evolved different traits that adapt them to their environments. This is iPlant, Tree of Life.
We have a number of crop plants that form the basis of all of our agriculture and feed all of humanity. Well, it's really important to know how those crop plants are related to other organisms. What are the closest relative of our major crop plants? And actually, for many of them, we don't really even quite know at this point. It wasn't until a decade or so ago that we really pinned down the closest relative of corn, which is the basis of all of the New World agriculture. And we're working on rice and wheat and trying to figure out how our basic grain crops are related to other organisms. Why is that important? Well, it's possible that we could actually learn something about the genetics of those other organisms, learn something about their, for example, resistance to diseases, that we could then sort of breed into these crop plants. And so we could actually, use this knowledge of relationships and close relatives to actually make a better crop plant, to make a better corn or rice or wheat plant.
The second grand challenge is to understand how a plant's genes, or its genotype, determine its traits, or phenotype. This is iPlant Gen to Fen.
Genotyping is the way that we figure out what is the DNA sequence of a given individual. And we can do it in a way that we may survey the entire genome, or we may only look at very small segments of a genome. Phenotyping is the evaluation of how an organism grows, and that phenotype may be how tall a plant is, or it may be the level of a molecular constituent, how much sugar is there within a corn plant at a particular time. So a phenotype can be a wide range of different ways that we evaluate an organism.
I think at the level of doing research at small colleges and working with students in that environment, one of the things that's going to happen now and even more in the future is that we have access to data sets that we would never have otherwise. So, traditionally it's been the big wealthy labs that have had the resources to do big sequencing projects or big mutagenesis screens. And now we will have, through these interfaces that are being developed, access to the data that's suitable for professors at small colleges and for their students as well. And I think that's a tremendous boon for us.
By sponsoring distributed informatics projects, iPlant extends high-level computation to advanced high school and college classrooms. In this way, students and teachers can work with the same data at the same time and with the same tools as research biologists.